your question. Oh, hi there. Thanks for tuning in to Ask the Veterinarian, one of our favorites. I'm Shelley Irwin. Joining me tonight are three vets: Dr. Kirsten Marshall of the Bridges Animal Hospital at Ada, Rebecca Vincent from the Animal Medical Center of Wyoming, and Samantha Gardner of the Animal Emergency Clinic. Tonight, we also have a special guest. There you are, Cassie the bunny. She promises, I didn't write this, to keep the show hopping. There we are. Ladies, welcome.
Thank you. Take
it away. Rabbit 101, please.
Rabbits are great pets. They are not to be taken on lightly. Most people don't realize that a bunny would have a lifespan 6 to 10 years, so you're making a big commitment when you get one. They are wonderful pets because they're quiet. They don't require vaccination, so they're fairly inexpensive to keep, but they should be spayed, and they do require hay and fresh vegetables all the time. I think the biggest downfall that people don't realize is sometimes the allergy component. You have to have hay in your house, and bunnies are a little allergenic for people that are susceptible.
Dr. Marshall, remind me, we have an Easter holiday coming up. Do not go out and buy a cute little pink rabbit to give to my friend.
We always say that, and you know, I think people sometimes can't resist, but you do have to remember, as Dr. Vincent says, when you take this on, just like taking on any animal, no matter the species, you need to plan on giving it love, shelter, and everything it needs for full 5, 10, 15 years if we're talking dogs and cats, and bunnies are no different. You need to be planning on taking care of it for its life, and it's not necessarily an animal that you can give to your 8-year-old child and say, have at it. This is going to require adult supervision.
Dr. Gardner, are bunnies, rabbits, pack animals? Will this animal be okay if I just wanted one bunny?
Yeah, they're usually okay by themselves. They usually do require a small enclosure when you're not home. You want to make sure you bunny-proof your house, keep them away from electrical cords, things of that nature, anything they can chew on, because they will kind of get into things. But so they do tend to need a small enclosure when you're not watching them. However, when you're home, you know, they can be out and about in your house, and you just have to make sure, like I said, you kind of bunny-proof your house before you let them out.
And I know there are a variety of you've got the Humane Society, there's foster adoption, many programs in the area that care for these rabbits, so we should be caring for them too.
That's right. Bunnies do need lots of fresh hay and greens every day, so it's a little bit of work to take care of one.
Let's stay on the topic of Easter. We joke about it, the Easter chocolate, but one of I trust more of our dogs get into the chocolate. We have a problem, Dr. Marshall?
It is every year, and you know, I think that for all of us, Valentine's Day and Easter are the 2 times of the year that we sort of preach to people about it, but day after the holidays, we will all have hospitals full of that fabulous smell of chocolate because animals have overindulged. There's nothing worse than losing your chocolate to the dog. Number one, you want to keep it for yourself, and number two, it makes them really ill. And I've always told people that cats, you know, we all know they don't have a sweet tooth. They don't have the right tasting for it. However, last Easter, I had a cat who overindulged in chocolate as well, so it can happen. Just be careful.
Yeah, it's kind of like humans. It's hard to stop with one M&M, isn't it? Dr. Vincent, let's talk a little bit about change of seasons. What happens at this time?
Well, there are a couple of things. This is the time of year that animals that are not spayed and neutered come into season, and they're out carousing, so we need to make sure that we're keeping our animals safe, contained, and spay and neuter them.
Also, we talked about this earlier, Dr. Marshall, more opportunities for our animals to, let's just be blunt, be hit by cars?
It is. Unfortunately, it's a great time of the year. Think about it. We're all sort of emerging from our homes, and our pets are coming out with us. Our dogs are washing the car with us or playing ball in the front yard, and they have forgotten many times where their boundaries are, and it's very easy for them to take off across the street to chase the neighbor's cat or a squirrel, and unfortunately, this is the time of year that we see it happen most.
What else, Dr. Gardner?
Yeah, we see a lot of hit by cars, but we also see a lot of dog bites, dogs biting other dogs. You know, it's very important when you're out with on a walk with your dog to keep them on a leash, and for other people to keep their dogs on a leash or in a fenced-in yard, because you know, everybody's happy it's spring and out and about, so we will see a lot more dog bites this time.
Staying on the topic of you as an emergency vet, is it important that we call you on our, say my dog's been hit, do you need me to call you telling you I'm on my way, or how does that work? Just show up at your clinic?
Yeah, we always like a heads up, but if you can't, just show up and we're always there and ready to go. But you know, if we do get a call ahead of time, it's always nice, but definitely not a requirement.
Great. We have a question from you, caller. Hi, caller, what's your question?
Hi, I have a question. My cats have ear mites, and I've been treating them with the liquid drops. and now by the base of two of my cat's tail is going bald, and I wanted to know if that had something to do with the ear mites.
Dr. Marshall?
Probably not. Anytime an animal scratches on the back third of its body, we like to look for fleas first. There are a lot of different things that can cause baldness and scratching in general. So you know what we're going to say. Run it by your veterinarian, because a pair of veterinarian's eyes on your cat is going to give you a lot of information. We're going to be able to look at the hairs themselves, at the skin itself, and see really what the primary problem or the primary cause is. But ear mites tend to stay in the ears, so rarely do you have that type of thing. There are other kinds of parasites, though, that you really want to find out what it is sooner rather than later.
Follow up? Good?
Yeah.
Make a little noise there, Cassie the rabbit. Also on change of seasons, obviously our temperatures will be rising. What is the danger of leaving our dog in a car? I mean, is 60 degrees okay? Is my red flag 70? What do you think, Dr. Vincent?
I don't think it's a good idea to leave a dog unattended in the car, pretty much no matter what the temperature. The warmer it is, the shorter amount of time you're going to have where it's going to be safe for the dog.
Great. All right, we have another question from you, caller. Hi, what's your question, please?
Yes, hi. I'd like to know the safety and security with the underground fencing for dogs.
The invisible fence. What do you think, Dr. Gardner?
As far as the invisible fence goes, it really depends. I know that some dogs will run right through it. You know, your eyes on the dog are always best, but sometimes it will work for some dogs and not for others. So I think you need to really pay close attention during that training phase and see how the individual dog kind of handles it.
I think that not all the fences are created equal. I've had a variety of them with a variety of different breeds, and you're absolutely right. There are some dogs that will run through that fence. And if you work with one of the companies, you know, you said invisible fence, that's one of the companies that will continue to come back and change your collar, change the fence until they get it right. But there are some breeds that you really just need to be careful of as far as going across the fence. But again, if you're having difficulty with one brand, you may kind of question yourself as to sometimes cheaper is not always better.
So invisible fence is actually a brand?
It is.
It is. It's a brand of
All right,
fence.
good. So she was correct in her terminology, and I was incorrect. Yeah.
My biggest problem with the invisible fence is that it doesn't keep anybody out of the yard either. So we get lots of strays that will wander in and can cause a problem.
Yeah. What about fleas and ticks? Are we at that problem stage yet, Dr. Vincent?
Oh, we're getting warm enough, yes. We will be seeing fleas and ticks soon. It's certainly a good idea to keep the animals on prevention year-round. We see a big flea problem actually in the wintertime when you wouldn't think about it, because you've brought fleas in the fall, and it takes a little bit of time for them to multiply, and invariably on the Christmas break you'll have tons and tons of fleas in the house.
Great. Hold on to that. Let's take a question from you, caller. Hi, what's your question, please? Hi, caller. We're ready for your question.
Yes, I got a 2-year-old cat, and she has constipation. Now, I do feed her a lot of wet food. I give her water. I give her IM, the hairball one. But what else can I do?
Thank you. Cat with constipation, double C's.
There are a lot of different things that you can do. For a 2-year-old cat, you want to find out why it's happening. So I'd encourage you to talk to your veterinarian. If your cat hasn't been seen in a while, definitely have that discussion and have a physical exam done. Extra weight can precipitate it. Certain diets, you're feeding a good diet, but just because it's a good diet doesn't mean it's necessarily the right thing for your cat. There are a lot of different things you can do. A lot of us really like probiotics, which are food additives that can be helpful with your digestive health. There are other things that can be used to soften the stool. Many different options, but you want to do that in coordination with your veterinarian, because every cat is a very specific individual, and what might work for one cat won't work for another. So that's one of those things that I would really want you to do with your veterinarian. The underlying problem is if you have a cat that has constipation continuously, it's more than just something that you don't want to talk about. It can really set them up for problems later in life, and you want to get on top of it now rather than later.
What are the signs and symptoms of constipation versus, let's say, kidney stones or bladder stones?
That's a good question.
Yeah.
We get a lot of calls about that. People call and they think their cat's constipated because it's straining in the litter box. So it can look pretty similar to a urinary blockage. So you want to be careful and see, what is actually being produced in the litter box. But they can look very similar. The posturing is slightly different, but sometimes it can be confused.
Back to Cassie. She is litter trained. Cats are litter trained. Is this something we need to teach this particular, I guess?
Rabbits, actually, the pet rabbits that we have were derived from some of the wild rabbits, and they use a latrine area, so they are inclined to go to one area and dirty one area. So if we give them a spot and tell them it's okay to use it, most of them litter train fairly easily.